Hello. Good morning, everyone. Can anyone see the logo? I'm sharing screen, the introduction. So if you cannot see the logo, CAT Private Review, the Nathaniel Alviso tutorial, kindly inform me, okay? So while we are waiting for the others, let's have a short introduction for the third session. So this will be session 3, and right now the video that I have uploaded, it has 32 subscribers. So there are 90 of you, 3 classes of 30 each. So I believe 2 of the class are not following the video presentations on YouTube. So there could be 2 reasons about it, or about that. Could be that they no longer need to review because they already understood the tutorial during the real-time session. Okay, so that's good news. Or it could also mean that it's so boring that they do not want to, look at the recording anymore. In any ways, those are just in case some of you missed the live tutorial, then you might want to catch up. Okay, I'm expecting like 90 or more subscribers to the channel, which will tell me that you are, attending the sessions and reviewing the lessons that we have. Because the lessons that we have are very fast. Okay, if you really need a detailed learning, you can scan my PowerPoint presentations of the modules that I have shared via Google. And if you need a live explanation, can someone mute his or her mic because it's affecting the audio? And of course, if you want to have a live commentary on the slides, then you could just upload the YouTube video and watch. I'm sorry, download the YouTube video and watch. Now, I gave you a quiz earlier, like this. It's very hard to see in the light, but it's basically the quiz that you're seeing on the screen right now. I hope I'm able to video share. So we will discuss the quiz while we are waiting for the others. So I have 18 participants. I'm looking for 8 more people. So let's discuss number 1. We all love whomever gives cheerfully and freely. So if you answer no error, you make a mistake. Most of you did not get this number, okay? Because this is a catchy question. You will think since whomever is in the object form and it follows the verb love, then this will act as a direct object. Then this is the correct form of the relative pronoun, okay? But if you will look closely, whomever is the relative pronoun of this insert sentence. The original is he or she gives cheerfully and freely. So the relative pronoun must follow the form of its antecedent. In this case, the antecedent is the subject and the doer of the verb gives. Therefore, the correct form of this should be in the nominative form, or whoever, okay? So the error here is letter B. So they will do this in your CET exam. They will present you with a questions that looks easy. So you are confident in answering, and then you will be surprised that you fail, okay? Because they will give you easy but tricky question. If you know the concept that we are discussing, you know them by heart, then it will be very easy. But if you're just relying on the sample questions you see online or on your reviewer without really knowing how each part of the sentence function and how they are related to each other or to the other words, then you can answer, but you can fall for this kind of questions. Number 2, I hope you're seeing this. Heaven helps whomever the critics span. So if you choose B, whomever, as an error, then again, you're incorrect. Because this time, whomever, the antecedent, is the direct object of the word pan. Because the insert sentence here is the critics span he or she, him or her, I'm sorry, objective, direct object. The critics span him or her. And the relative pronoun for that is whomever, which is correct in the object form. Therefore, number 2, answer is letter E, no error. Now we go to number 3. Another proof would be the bending of the sun's rays as they pass through a gravitational field. Most of you says no error. Unfortunately, there's an error here. Whenever you are mentioning a reality or a fact, do not use would be, because that will be the subjunctive form, which means it's unreal or it's hypothetical. Okay. I will discuss to you later the verb tenses. Whenever you're stating facts, you must use simple tense only. In this case, simple present tense. So the error here is letter B. The sentence should read, another proof is the bending of the sun's rays as they pass through a gravitational field. Number 4, a bouquet of roses are ready for delivery. Again, this is a tricky question. You will see the roses there, plural, and then beside it is are, so you will think nothing is wrong. Subject-verb agreement followed. But here the subject is not the roses. The phrase of the roses is just a phrasal adjective phrase, meaning it just it just describes the real subject in the sentence, which is a bouquet, singular. Therefore, the error here is letter B. Should read, a bouquet of red roses is ready for delivery. Number 5, there's a lot of students signing up for CET review. Now we have a demonstrative pronoun there or here. Those are demonstrative pronoun. And they follow, whether they're singular or plural, they will follow the noun that they are identifying with. In number 5, it's identifying with students, plural, with S. That means there's, which is simply there is wrong. Okay? The correct answer is there are. Therefore, letter A in number 5 is the mistake here. The sentence should read, there are a lot of students signing up for CET review. The UPCAT is a quite difficult entrance test. I modified this on the quiz I sent you. I removed that because that is also a mistake here. In fact, this sentence has 2 mistakes. That is a definite article, and UPCAT is a definite proper noun. So you cannot have 2 definite indicator in a sentence. So you just say UPCAT, remove that, is a quite difficult entrance test. But there is still an error here. Because we're so used to placing the adverb after the indefinite article a, like a very beautiful girl. See, very is after a. A fast reaction. See, it's after a. I'm sorry, fast is an adjective. Let's think of another adverb. Smartly dressed. A smartly dressed, beautiful lady. So smartly is an adverb. So it comes after a. So you might think that is a quite difficult entrance test is correct. But quite is an exception. Whenever you encounter the word quite, the a will come after quite, not before. So it's an exception. You must remember that. So the sentence or the answer, the error here is letter C. The correct sentence should read, upcut is quite a difficult entrance test. Number 8. The staff is deciding how they want to vote. Okay. So if you can remember our discussion on the module 2, nouns, staff is a collective noun, meaning it can take plural verbs if they are acting individually, or a singular verb if they are acting as a group. Okay. So you have to decide, is the staff acting as individual or as a group? So if it's individual, is correct. However, you will see at the rest of the sentence that they are acting individually because of the pronoun they. They here, the pronoun they, the antecedent is staff, meaning the pronoun again must match the singularity or plurality of the antecedent. So here, staff is plural. Therefore, the error is letter B. It should read, the staff are deciding how they want to vote. Okay? How many are we? 21. Okay, good. We will continue. Now let's discuss. Hold on for a moment. Next to discuss is number 8. All right, number 8. She requested that he raise his hand. And you might jump for joy because this is very easy, you might say. Subject verb agreement. He, singular. Letter C, raise, is plural verb. So letter C is the answer, right? Wrong. Again, CET questions will trick you into making the false answer. The answer here is no error. Why? Because this is in the subjunctive mood, meaning we only apply subject-verb agreement if we are in the indicative mood, meaning what we are saying is the reality. But if we are in the subjunctive mood, then it means that this statement is not a reality yet. It's just a hypothetical truth, meaning it will only become true if the request is followed. Okay, so subjunctive mood do not follow SVA. Singular subjects can have plural verb. In this case, he raised his hand is correct. And for you to identify the subjunctive mood, you look for the words such as request, wish, commanded. Okay, so those are clues that will tell you that it's in the subjunctive mood, therefore do not follow the SVA rules. Here's another, number 9, I wish. Again, the subjunctive. I wish that I can play the piano. You might not find any error here, but in the subjunctive mood, modal verbs like can and will should be in the past tense. Okay, meaning it's stating a hypothetical mood in the statement. So you cannot use the present tense. So use the correct answer here is letter C, the error. The sentence should read, I wish that I could play the piano. Same like in the song, I wish I could fly. See, they are following the correct grammar. Okay. It's different from I believe I can fly, because believe is not a conditional. Okay. Believe is also referring to the truth. I believe I'm teaching you right now. So that's not hypothetical. Hypothetical are I wish, I command, meaning you may or may not follow. Okay. I request. So that means the request is followed or not. So it's still hypothetical. But I believe it's not a condition. Okay. So I believe I can fly, but I wish I could play the piano. Okay. Number 10. The learning of students is something for which teachers are responsible for. So you might think there's no error here, but it's very obvious. You have two prepositions for which teachers are responsible for. You cannot have that in a sentence. Same as you cannot have double negatives, okay? You cannot have double tense conjugation on your helping verb and main verb. You cannot do that. So you could either just say, remove the for in the last part. You could say the learning of students is something for which teachers are responsible, period. Or the error is letter C, remove that and just read it. The learning of students is something which teachers are responsible for. So the error there is the existence of the second preposition for, okay, letter C. Right, that ends our short review. Most of you got only half of the answers. Some got 3 out of 10, which means that the modules that we will need to discuss are still very relevant, because you need a foundation to be able to answer those questions, okay? So we will now go to, we have done the adjective. Before I go to adverb, I would like to give you a review on the direct object, indirect object of the noun and pronoun, because this is where you make some of the mistakes. Being unable to identify the nouns and pronouns as a direct object of the preposition, and indirect object. Let me check if I have shared. So we should see the slide nouns and pronouns, okay? Module 7. All right, so if you can still remember your verbs, if it's a transitive verbs, then there must be a noun or pronoun following the verb to indicate that it is the direct object, or the one receiving the action, okay? So if I have an action and you ask what received the action, so the answer to the what is what we call the direct object, okay? For example, I say, I teach. Then you might ask, you teach what? So I would say, I teach English. So English there is the direct object. And to be able to identify direct object, you must have a proper understanding of your transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. So transitive verbs, it means that the action undergo a transit. Like when you have a mass transit, it moves, right? Transportation. So when you say transitive verb, the action starts from the doer of the action, and then it's in transit, okay? It moves. And then there's another noun or pronoun who receives that action. And that receiver of the action is the direct object, as opposed to the doer of the action, which is in the active voice, it is the subject of the statement, okay? So always remember that. If the verb has a noun or pronoun receiving the action, then it's a transitive verb. For example, I'm looking for my keys. See, the I am. So this is the subject, the one doing the action, and there's another object that will receive the action. For example, if you're looking at the keys, you're doing the looking, and then the keys is receiving those stares from your eyes. Okay, so keys is the direct object, and looking for is the transitive phrasal verb. Now let's compare it to the intransitive phrasal verb, like say for example, my car broke down this morning. So even if we have the adverb of time, this morning, it does not change the fact that the phrasal verb broke down does not have any receiver of the action, right? We're talking about the car, and the action broke down does not transit to another noun or pronoun. It is still happening on the car, the subject itself. So therefore, it's intransitive. Okay. Now be careful because there are phrasal verbs or simple verbs, that means one word only, phrasal verbs more than one word, that can be transitive and intransitive, and you will know the meaning of the verb once you look at the sentence. Okay. For example, took off. If I say he took off his tie when he got home, so there's a direct object, the necktie, what you put on your neck. Okay, when I say he took off the necktie, so the doer and knotting the necktie, then removing, the necktie is receiving the action. Okay, but if the sentence is the plane will take off in 10 minutes, or the plane took off yesterday, then you will see there that take off or took off does not have any noun or pronoun that receive that action. Therefore, in this sentence, took off or take off, the past tense, is an intransitive verb. And they have different meanings. In the transitive form, take off, it means to remove something. In our statement, it's the necktie. But in the intransitive verb, the meaning of take off is to leave the ground and begin to fly. See? Same verbs, different meaning, and can be transitive or intransitive. Now let's look at a very simple sentence. We bought a car. Okay, so the subject is we. Okay, this is the family saying this, we. The answer is bought. And of course, there's a receiver of that action, which is the car. Okay, so they do the buying and the car was bought, the one who received that. So the car is the direct object. Of course, if you just say we bought without the direct object, we bought, period, then, especially if you say it to your girlfriend, she might be hysterical. You bought what? Okay, we bought, I bought. Especially if it's your monthsary, okay, and you approach your girlfriend and say, I bought, then the girlfriend will be hysterical because you do not complete the sentence. Okay, so you should complete the sentence with your direct object. Same here. She eats an apple. So she is the subject, eats is the transitive verb, and since the action transit from the doer, the one who's taking the bite, to the receiver, the one who's getting the bite, direct apple, therefore eats is a transitive verb. All right, another example. He hates his father's lecture. Okay, so transitive verb is hates. He is the subject, and then direct lecture is, direct object is only lecture. You will see here 4 nouns and pronouns. He, 1, his, 2, fathers, 3, lecture, 4. Okay, 4 nouns and pronouns. Remember, nouns and pronouns have the same function, so we just count them as 1. Okay, but the 2 nouns and pronouns here, his and then fathers, these are possessive. Okay, and they only become possessive pronoun if they are standalone. There's no noun following them. Okay, but since there's a noun following them, the noun lecture, then this means that his, although a possessive pronoun, and fathers, although a possessive noun, is now acting as a possessive adjective in this sentence. Okay, so therefore, we only have 2 nouns or pronoun here, the subject he and the direct object lecture. Okay, his fathers are just adjectives. Let's now continue on the next slide. This is difficult to read. Okay, direct object versus subject complement. Now you might see in a sentence that there is a subject and then there's another noun, but there's a linking verb between it. Then you must be careful identifying the subject complement or the noun complement as a direct object. Okay, you must be careful about that, because the subject complement is in the nominative form or subjective form, while a direct object, if it's a pronoun, will be in the objective form. So they are 2 different forms. So how do we identify? For example, the verb looks. He looks for his keys inside the car. So here, we have the verb looks, and there's a doer, this guy, outside the car, and there's a receiver of the stair, the keys on the keyhole, okay, or on the ignition. Now, if I use this and say he looks happy to find a spare key, now the verb looks is a linking verb, meaning happy to find a spare key is not a direct object. This is a subject complement of he. And again, for us to test that, we could remove looks and put in equals. He equals happy, and it makes sense. But if we put equals here instead of looks in the transitive verb, he equals keys, it does not make sense. Okay, therefore, do not confuse your direct object with your noun complement. Now, pronouns as direct object, you must make sure that they follow the correct form, because direct object or the objective form of pronouns is different compared to the nominal form, okay? Except for the second person, you. So if it's in the nominative form, meaning it's the doer of the action, you love me. If you make it the receiver, like I love you, it's still the same form, you, okay? But for the first person, singular and plural, it's different. The nominative form is I and we. I love you, okay? But if it's the object form, the receiver, then it will become me, or if it's plural, us. You love me, okay? Me is the direct object, and the pronoun is in the object form. And it is the same with him or her, the third person pronoun. That's the objective form, him, her, and the nominative form, if the pronoun is doing the action, or it is the noun complement, subject complement, which is a noun, then you will use the nominative form, which is he or she. Okay, like he loves her, she loves him. Okay, now the third person neutral, it, has the same form for the objective and the nominative. So it's the same, it, okay? If I'm referring to the dog, it loves me, You could also say, I love it. Okay. So same form. For plural, them is the objective form, nominative form there. Okay. Always remember that. So if I put in the nominative form she, and it's standing as a direct object, then it will not be correct. The ball hit she. That's not correct. Okay. It should be in the objective form, the direct object. So the pronoun should be her. The ball hit her. Now, if the noun or pronoun is following a preposition, then the noun and pronoun should also be in the object form. Okay. So these are the nouns or pronouns that connects a preposition to the rest of the sentence to indicate relationship of that noun and pronoun to the rest of the sentence. Okay. And always remember, the object of the preposition cannot be the subject, meaning the doer of the action. It cannot be the direct object, meaning the receiver of the action, nor can it be the predicate noun, the subject complement. Okay. Now the let's see. An example is the sentence, we drove to the store. Store here is not a direct object. It is the object of the preposition to. Therefore, even though we see here two nouns and pronouns, the pronoun we and then the noun store, the verb drove is still intransitive because there's no transit of the action drive from the doer we to the other noun store. There's no connection except the connection of space indicated by, I'm sorry, the connection of direction indicated by the preposition to. Therefore, drove here is an intransitive verb. Okay, let's take another example. He sends a postcard to his uncle. So we have the doer, subject. So if it's a if it's a pronoun, so you use the nominative form he. Do not say him. Him sends a postcard. That's not correct. So it's he. And then we have a transitive verb, sends, which means that the action will transit from the subject doing the sending to the one being sent, the one receiving the action, which is the postcard. Okay, it will receive the action because the guy will write on the postcard and send it to the post office. So it will receive all the action from the guy. Now the one who will receive the destination is indicated by the preposition to and the object of the preposition uncle. So we could say he sends a postcard to his uncle. Now there are times when we do not want to use the preposition to, okay? And we can indicate the receiver of the direct object by using an indirect object, which is basically the same noun or pronoun as the object of the preposition. We just change the order of the nouns and pronouns in the sentence so that it will mean the same thing, but the pronoun to is no longer there. Let's take an example. There you go. So instead of me saying he sends a postcard to his uncle, I just say he sends his uncle a postcard. See, the preposition to is no longer there. Okay. There are only several verbs that can do this. We call them the ditransitive verbs, meaning like verbs like sense. It can have two objects, the indirect object and the direct object. The direct object receiving the action and the indirect object receiving the direct object. Okay. There you go. So he is the subject, transitive verb sends, postcard is the direct object, and then indirect object is uncle. And you will find out that in the sentence, the indirect object is near the verb, sends. So the noun or pronoun following sends in a ditransitive verb is the indirect object. And then the one that follows it is the direct object. Okay? Questions? So I think some of you are feeling sleepy already. Can you have a sentence with only indirect object and no direct object? Anyone can chat his or her answer? Okay. Since no one would like to answer, probably all asleep or not really getting the lesson, let's take a look at the example. Okay, we have one. No, good. Miss Dasha Lariosa. You cannot have an indirect object only in a sentence, okay? Because the indirect object will receive the direct object. So if there's no direct object, the indirect object will have nothing to receive, right? So if it will have nothing to receive, what it will receive instead is the action of the verb. Okay, let me illustrate that. For example, this sentence, he baked his family some cookies. If I remove the direct object, some cookies, then family will have nothing to receive. So what it will receive instead is the action bake. So if I remove cookies, this will be your sentence. He baked his family. See? Automatically, the indirect object becomes the direct object. And, you know, it will not sound right. You know, putting your family into the oven and baking your family. It will not sound right. So be mindful of your nouns and pronouns in a sentence. Make sure you do not omit the direct object whenever you're mentioning an indirect object. Same here. So in the sentence, he sends his uncle a postcard. If I remove the direct object, a postcard, the uncle, indirect object, will automatically become the receiver of the action. So here, he sends his uncle. So you can imagine the uncle being tied and gagged, and the you know, the guy in the yellow jacket would bring it to the mailbox. So it does not make sense. So let's have a short quiz. He broke the window. So the noun or pronoun in bold letters, let's identify. So broke is the transitive verb. The noun or pronoun receiving is the window. So this is direct. He's making a pancake. Same. Pancake is receiving the action making. So pancake is direct object. Jack is telling them the news. Them is not receiving the action telling. It is receiving the direct object news. So here them is the indirect object. Lucky noticed the bone. Again, the bone is direct object. It receives the action notice. Okay. I made you this kit. You receives the direct object kit. So you is indirect object. She wrote me a message. Again, me is indirect object. Receiving message as the direct object of the verb wrote. The boy loves his father. Direct object. Receiving, see how sweet they are? The boy giving the love and the father receiving the love. So that's why it's transitive. The action starts from the doer and direct object receiving the action. But here he gave his mother flowers. The mother now becomes the indirect object because what she is receiving is not love, but the flowers, okay? So flowers is the direct object. She said the right answer. Again, direct object. Receives the action said. Susan is writing herself a note. You might be confused with this, but if you can remember your reflexive pronoun, reflexive pronoun can serve as a direct object, okay? But it's not a direct object here because the direct object is note, okay? Writing a note. However, since Susan is also receiving the note, then she is the indirect object of this note. Therefore, herself here is an indirect object. She gave a gift, easy, direct object. He bought his friend a present, his friend, indirect object. He got a gift, direct object. You know, if you know the indirect and direct object, it should be very, automatic when you're answering the questions. You need not think. You just have to write down once you know the answer. Barney is writing Fred a letter. Fred is indirect object. And that ends our review with direct object, indirect object, and object of the preposition. Okay. And before I end this review, let me leave you a quote by Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Okay. So some of you may be having a hard time following me because the discussion is really fast. But do not worry, as long as you do not stop, you review the modules, you open the PowerPoint presentation, you listen to my commentary on the slides in YouTube, then you're good to go. Even if it's slow, but as long as it's slowly and surely, then you will get to your destination, which is, passing CET and entering college, the college of your choice. That is opposed to, Ningas Kugon. You move very fast, you burn very fast, and after the flame, it dies down. So there may be some of you here who will be very enthusiastic at the start, and then after that gets tired and lazy and no longer attends the review, okay? Like, I think there are 4 people here who are not yet here. So I hope they are not Ningas Kugon. They are also slowly and surely is following us. So I will discuss next the should be the verb tenses, but it's it's a very difficult topic to discuss and very confusing. I would like to wait for the 4 people who are not yet here. So instead of going into them, I will jump to the adverbs, okay? So this is module 9. I hope you can, let me check if I can, adverbs. You should see the slide adverbs, module 9. Are you guys seeing the slides? Hello?
Yes po.
All right, good. So we will now discuss adverbs, okay? Don't worry, the verb tenses is very confusing. And before you get a headache, let's discuss adverbs first, okay? Module 9. All right, adverbs are, by definition, if you can remember our parts of speech discussion, they are used to describe a verb, an adjective, or a fellow adverb, okay? But most of the time, they are used to describe a verb or an action. And they describe a verb in a way as to identify how it was done, like quietly, let me think of an action. quietly enter the room, okay? It could also indicate where the action happened, okay? So you could say, my mother works abroad, okay? So the action work is being described as in a place not in the Philippines, but far away. It could also describe a time when the action happens, like I prepared your modules yesterday. So the action prepare, the adverb I use is yesterday. That means that the action happened yesterday, the preparing of the modules. Then how much, okay, or the degree. If I have actions like study or understand, I could say I understand quite clearly, meaning the degree of understanding is, 100%, if you say quite. But if you say barely, I barely understand, then we have a problem, okay? Either you could do the review on the video on YouTube, or just open my PowerPoint presentation. Of course, if you need a commentary, then the YouTube video is the solution. It could also describe how often. For example, an action is either done always, that's 100% of the times, happening again and again and again. But if it's like only 5% or never, 0%, then you either say hardly ever or never, okay? But if you say sometimes, then that's just like 50-50 in the middle. Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. So following those definitions, we could put them into 8 categories, our adverbs. It could be an adverbs of time, like she will visit the hospital tomorrow. Adverbs of place, they will meet you there. So where will you meet? There, the adverb. Adverb of manner, how should it be executed, the action? He quietly slipped away. Like some of you guys before the COVID, you might want to slip away to the computer shop to play ML. So you go out of your house and careful not to make any sounds. Otherwise, your parents will notice. So you quietly slip away. Okay. We also have the adverbs of degree. Okay. Like fully or partially. If you're doing your homework, did you do it 100%? If yes, then you say, I have done completely my homework, okay? We also have adverbs of frequency. Here, we are talking about whether 100% of the time you will do it, or only 10% of the time you will do it, okay? That's adverbs of frequency. We also have adverbs of comment if we want to, in the verb, we want to put in how we feel, our judgment, or our opinion, then we put in the adverbs of comment. Like in the action or lack of action, the dog did not bite the children. So the action there is bite. Then we have the adverb of negation, not bite, meaning the action did not happen. And I add the adverb of comment, luckily. Okay, so I comment that it's a lucky situation that the dog did not bite anyone. I could also comment my feelings, like the action here is returned. The subject is the electricity, power returned. And that's before the championship game of UAAP. So I could say happily, the power returned before the big match. So the adverb here is my comment on the action of return of the electricity. I could also say adverbs. There's another category which is the adverbs of conjunction. So those are we call these the transitional words, which are the however, moreover, consequently, and words like that. And we also have the last is the adverbs of confirmation and negation, like what I said here earlier. The dog did not bite, so not is an adverb of negation. Or I could confirm, like they will certainly like this vase. Okay. So let's take a look at the adverb of time. So again, if it describes the time the action happened, like here, she flew the plane yesterday, then yesterday is an adverb of time. It answers the when question. When did she flew the plane? And also last Monday is a phrase, adverbial phrase, which is also an adverb of time. Alex rode his horse. So when did she rode? Last Monday is the answer. And of course, the action, we might ask, where did the action happen? And we use the adverbs of place. Like I looked everywhere. You might say, where do you look? And the answer is everywhere, the adverbs of place. State of being. Remember, verbs can be an action verb, or it will also be a state of being, like, and we use the linking verbs, is, are, am. We could also use an adverb of place, like there are many flowers. And you might ask, where are those flowers? So it's described by the adverb of place, outside. And we also have the adverb of manner, like the lion roared ferociously. So I'm describing the action roared, and it's very ferocious. Roar, that's ferocious. But sometimes lions will be timid and will just, like a cat. Let's see, it's not ferocious. So again, manner can be described by an adverb. Or like someone is walking carelessly, like he is thinking about her girlfriend, whether she still loves him, and forgot to look at the manhole. So he is about to step into the manhole. So the man is walking carelessly. Then the adverb of degree, again, it simply covers how much. Like the baby drank all the milk, how much? So I can answer that by putting in the adverb of degree, nearly. The baby drank nearly all the milk. Or beautiful, let's say Pollyanna Pineda is very beautiful. So there's an adjective beautiful, but I want to intensify, add a degree of prettiness into the adjective beautiful. So I would say very beautiful. Pollyanna is very beautiful. Because there are plain beautiful, like you're beautiful, but whenever you walk, only a few guys will turn their heads, okay? And there are very beautiful girls where whenever they walk, almost all the guys are turning their heads. We call that the head turners. Very beautiful female students. We also have the adverb of frequency, okay? Okay, adverb of frequency will refer to, if it's always or 100%, then we say always. But if it's just 90%, 90%, then usually going down. Sometimes, again, I told you, that's 50%, 50-50. So if, for example, let me look at if we have a guy here. I think all of you are girls. Corby, okay. If Corby will ask Margarita, Ilona, Corby will say, do you love me? And Margarita will say, sometimes. So Kirby will, that's just a 50-50% chance. So better have a backup, okay? But if Margarita answered If Corby asked, do you love me? And Margarita answered, seldom. Then it's time for Corby to look for another female student to, you know, uh, another student to love. Okay. So those are the adverbs of frequency. For example, here, she usually combed her hair. That's not 100%, okay? Because 100% is she always combed her hair. That's 10 out of 10. But if I say she usually combed her hair, then that's like 99 out of 10. You comb your hair. Because sometimes there will be cases where, especially before COVID, you will have to go to school, and then sometimes you wake up late, so you have to hurry up. Sometimes you don't even take your breakfast. You rush to the school. So it will not be all the time that you can, you know, comb your hair, okay? She brushed her teeth regularly. This is 100%. And everyone will claim that they are brushing their teeth regularly. Although sometimes will forget, okay? But you will not admit that to your friend, okay? And regularly will mean 100%, because if you miss just once, then it's no longer regular. That's irregular, okay? Same with she takes a bath always. So always is 100% frequency. So do not say that statement if you only take a bath every 2 days, because that is not always. That's sometimes. I only take a bath sometimes. Or for gamers, sometimes will not take a bath for 3 days because they are so engrossed with ML, okay? So that's how we describe the use of adverbs. Now for common adverbs, like judgment, what we think about the verb, like apparently, everyone here is asleep, okay? So it's like, my judgment is that you're all asleep, okay? Or you're very bored with the topic that we have. So those are comment adverbs. I could speak my opinion about the event. So I use comment adverbs. For example, it was probably a misunderstanding. So that will be my opinion, okay? Because if it's already established fact, then I will not use the comment adverbs. I will just use, it was a misunderstanding, okay? Or I could use an adverb of confirmation. It's definitely a misunderstanding, but not the comment adverbs, because comment adverbs are when we are referring to our opinion or judgment, okay? See here, definitely. Oh, so we could also use definitely as a comment adverb, meaning also our opinion for that action is, you know, 100% true, okay? I think that the confirmation adverb of confirmation is different. Let's check later, okay? So these are the common adverbs: actually, apparently, certainly, frankly, honestly, no doubt, presumably, and sadly. Sadly is a comment of your emotion, okay? Now we also have the adverbs of conjunction. So basically these are just the transition words, like however, otherwise. These words are not conjunctions, okay? They are just adverbs of conjunctions. And although they have the same purpose as conjunction, like they link clause, okay, sentence clauses together, adverbs of conjunction can be placed anywhere in the sentence, okay? Just like adverbs. Adverbs, you can place it before verbs, like I carefully walk, you can do that. You could also place it after the verb, I walk carefully. So it's the same with the adverbs of conjunction. You could place it anywhere in the sentence. But if you're using a conjunction, then it is usually just between the sentences, two sentence clauses, okay? So I will illustrate that later. So conjunctive adverbs are like otherwise, you must do your homework, otherwise you might get a bad grade, Okay. So otherwise is, I could put it in the after you. You must do your homework. You otherwise might get a bad grade. Or at the last part, you might get a bad grade otherwise. Okay. This is equivalent to the conjunction or. You must do your homework or you might get a bad grade. That's a conjunction or. And notice I cannot put or in any other part of the sentence. I cannot say you must do your homework, you or might get a bad grade. Or you must do your homework, you might get a bad grade or. See the difference? Conjunction and otherwise might have the same function, but adverbs can be placed anywhere in the sentence, but conjunction, it's only between the two clauses. I will not be attending the show, therefore, I have extra tickets for anyone that can use them. Again, therefore, you can place it at the end. I have extra tickets for anyone that can use them, therefore, okay? The equivalent here, the conjunction equivalent is so, okay? Will have the same meaning. I will not be attending the show, so I have extra tickets. But I cannot place so in any other parts. I can say I will not be attending the show, I so have extra tickets. That's not correct. Okay. Meanwhile, it means at the same time. So you have two sentences. Amy practices the piano and then her brother practices the violin. And when I say meanwhile, it's a conjunction that says that the action is happening at the same time. And then consequently, Marion needed to be home early. Consequently, she left work at 3 p.m. So this is the effect. Okay, Mario needed to be home early, so that's the cause, and the effect is she left work at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Okay. So when we discuss conjunctions, you will see the similarity. But for now, let's learn conjunctive adverbs. They could function as addition. By using additionally, we could use consequence, comparison, contrast, emphasis, and clarification. Okay. Now, there are so many conjunctive adverbs, but you do not have to memorize all. You just try to learn the 5 most used, and they are the TAMO. The mnemonics for that is TAMO. I want you to memorize this so you could identify whether it's an adverb of conjunction or an adverb, okay? Because they have the same function in a sentence. So TAMO, T stands for therefore, H stands for however, A stands for also, M for meanwhile, and O for otherwise. Okay, they have a conjunction equivalent, T. Therefore, you could use so, that's the conjunction. However, the conjunction equivalent is but. Okay, I can teach you all the modules. However, it will take the entire night. I could also say, but I can teach you all the modules, but it will take overnight. Okay. Also, the adverb, the equivalent in conjunction is and. Okay. I teach you English, also math. In conjunction, I teach you English and math. Okay? Otherwise, or for the conjunction. So these are the conjunctive adverbs. Therefore, however, also, meanwhile, and otherwise. And now we go to the last, which is the adverbs of affirmation. So if we put in never before the verb, then that's a negation. If we put in definitely, certainly, then that is an affirmation. Okay. So again, definitely also is an adverb of affirmation. If it's a fact, okay. If it's an opinion, you just think that it's definitely, then it's an adverb of comment. So it will depend on the sentence. So examples, she is certainly going through a hard time. That's affirmation. certainly. If I put in a no, there was no visibility during the rain, then that's a negation. And here are some other examples. Yes, by all means, certainly, surely, verily, definitely, indeed, obviously, and truly. Those are the affirmation adverbs. And any, never, no, not, then those are the adverbs of negation. And as I have mentioned earlier, conjunction, linking words, sentences, you cannot, move them in different location, but adverbs, you could put it in the initial part of the sentence, like luckily nobody got hurt. You could also put it in the middle. Nobody luckily got hurt, okay, middle. Or in the final position, nobody got hurt luckily, okay? And also the same in other adverbs. Now, just like in adjectives, especially if the adverbs is in the last part of the sentence, meaning after the verb, you need to put them in proper order. And the order is mention first, after the verb, mention first the adverb of manner. Next is the adverb of place, and last is the adverb of time. So you cannot have this sentence, he taught this afternoon excellently at home. That's not correct. Just like in the adjective, riding little hood. Riding little red hood. That's not correct. Should be little red riding hood. And it's the same here. You must follow the order. So mention first the manner. He taught excellently. Next is the place, at home. And then last is the time, this afternoon. Okay. If it confuses you, you can put the adverb of time in front of the verb before the verb taught. Okay, so that it will not have to follow the order. You could say this afternoon he taught excellently at home. Okay, but this is only true for the adverb of time. Okay, you cannot put adverb of manner in front before the verb. Excellently he taught at home this afternoon. That's not correct. Okay. For adverbs of frequency, basically it occurs before the verb, but if it's a be verb, it is placed after the be verb. Example, our teacher often seems serious. See, the adverb of frequency often is before the verb. But for be verbs, yet is sometimes humorous. Okay, so I'm very serious here. So often serious, but then be verb is sometimes humorous. The sometimes adverb of frequency is after the verb. Okay, always remember that. And again, adverbs of time, as I have mentioned, you could put it at the beginning of the sentence, like this afternoon he watched the grammar video patiently at home and he's very bored. See, this guy very bored watching grammar lessons. And that ends our discussion of adverbs. So I will end it with the saying, the only time I really become discouraged is when I think of all the things I would like to do and the little time I have in which to do them. And that's by Thomas Edison, one of the most industrious scientists of all time. It might appear on your general science question. He tested about 100 filaments that will not, burn when you use them to create light. Before he found tungsten to be long-lasting. Tungsten inside a vacuum, the light bulb. He tested many filaments, including his own hair. And after testing more than 1,000 filaments, that's the time he discovered that tungsten will last for a long time. Right? So that ends our discussion. We will now go to the most difficult module, in my opinion, to teach, which are the verb tenses. So I give you time for a bathroom break, 3 minutes, and after that, be back. So we can start on the verb tenses. Okay, 3 minutes, guys. Bathroom break. All right, so we will now start on the verb tenses. So if you got bored on the adverb and the review on the direct object, indirect object, and object of the preposition, then don't worry, this will be more boring, the verb tenses, okay? But I hope that, okay, we have an additional, so we have 23 participants. So let me just share my last module for the night, the, where is that? Verb tenses. And please tell me if you're seeing the verb tenses. Are you guys seeing the logo?
Opo.
Okay, very good. So this will be the module 8, verb tenses. We're supposed to discuss this first, but we go to module 9 because earlier not everyone is here, okay? So module 8, verb tenses, it refers or indicates the time of the action. Remember, we have present tense, past tense, and future tense. So it's the time of the action, also the occurrence, and also the expressed state of a being, okay? To understand that better, you could refer it to the stages or the state of being in your life, okay? So of course, you're no longer in a state where, okay? So that's in the past. You're also beyond primary school because you're senior high school students, okay? So that's also in the past. But a teenager, that will be your present state, okay? So this will be things that you're doing here, actions. During teenager will be the present. Of course, go to university, that's next year, so it's the future in the future tense, okay? Or future state of being. Fall in love, future maybe, but for some already have a partner, so present tense for some, but future for others. Of course, getting married is in the future, having children, retiring, getting old, and then dying. So those are the states of your life in the future. And I hope you do not rush through those stages until you die, okay? I just want you to take each step in your life and enjoy whatever you have right now. Do not rush into things. Okay, hold on for a moment. All right. In fact, Japanese have a you know, they are very interested with the state of being, that they have a study wherein they try to look for a reason for being. Okay, they call that the ikigai. So the state of being, it refers to the nature of the action of a verb as its beginning, duration, completion, or repetition. Okay. For the Japanese, if your state of being is focused on your passion, your mission, and your love, panay love life sa buhay, you will live a life of delight and fullness, but no wealth. Okay? Mahirap ka if puro ka date. Okay? But on the other end, if your focus is profession, studying, your vocation, getting a job what you're paid for, then you will be in this state, comfortable, high salary, but wala kang jowa. See, again, those are the two extremes. And in Japan, they aim for the ikigai, which is the balance of all those states. Anyway, that's just a side story, so you can understand the state of being. So the state of beings are described by the be verbs. Okay, so the be verbs are is, am, where, was, are. Of course, the be, and then there's the present participle of be, which is being, and then the past participle, which is been. Okay, and not all linking verbs are the be verbs. There are also verbs like the verbs of the senses, like seem, appear, look, when we use our eyes. Also feel, when we use the sense of touch. Smell, your nose. Taste, your taste buds. And sound, your hearing. Okay, so those are the verbs that involves the sense of the five senses. Okay, so they also act as linking verbs. For example, France looks good. So we use our sense of sight and check that the state of appearance of France is good. Okay. Later, he felt better. Then we're referring to the state in which he's feeling better. Okay. And linking verbs can also refer to occurrence, like become. Some of you will become doctors someday, because 2020 is a bad year for the medical profession. Many will die. Okay, especially the frontliners taking care of COVID patients. So 5 or 10 years from now, there will be there will be a need for doctors, and hopefully some of you will become doctors. There's also the prove. You could prove CET passers, so that will be a verb of occurrence. And you might be taught that English have more tenses than Filipino verbs, because Filipinos have only the past, present, and future. Kumain, kumakain, kakain, right? While English have so many. But you might be surprised that when it comes to verb conjugation, Filipino verbs are superior, because they can be conjugated many times in many different forms. Compared to English, you might be surprised. English does not have a future tense. Okay, only Filipino. Compared to Filipino, we have a future tense for our verb, like kain, kakain. But for English, they do not have a future tense. They only have present tense and past tense. And to compensate for the others, they use another form, the present participle. So present tense is eat, eats, for the verb eat. And then past tense is ate. And then they have the present participle, the with ing, eating. And then they have the past participle, which is eaten. Okay. Now you might argue that your English teacher before taught you that there is a future tense for English. Yes, there is, but they are represented by the present tense conjugation. To to add futurity in the verb, English will need to use a different word. We call that the modal verbs. Okay. For example, you will take CET in October. So that's a future action, but English does not have a future conjugation for take. Remember, there's only the present tense take, and then the past tense took. Okay, but not the future tense. So what they do is they add the modal verb will. Okay. Now they also have another modal verb, going to, and it has a different meaning than will. So do not interchange the two. You use going to when there are evidence that the future event is more likely to happen, because when you use will, it's 50-50, okay? So the clouds are getting dark, it is going to rain. So it means that about 80% of the time it will happen because you're seeing evidence of clouds getting dark, okay? So going to is a lot more probable than will, okay? So if your boyfriend asks you or tells you, I will marry you, then slap, tapak, you slap him because that's only 50-50, okay? Should be, I'm going to marry you. So it means that probably is making some preparations, saving some money on the bank, okay? Now, if the future action is, will happen very, very soon, like you're waiting for a bus and it's about to go, then you use a different modal verb, but still the present tense for the main verb, go, okay? So you say about to. Get in the bus, it's about to go, meaning it's in the future, but the action is going to happen very, very soon, okay? And of course, if it's in the future and I have made some arrangement like buying some air tickets, meaning it's almost 100% going to happen, then I just use the simple present tense. On Monday, I fly to London. So that's what I mean by the English language not having a future tense, because they just use the present tense and then will add a modal verb to change the meaning. Whether it's 50-50, then will, 80%, then use going to, immediate, then you use about to, okay? Or just use the present tense. Now, compare that to the Filipino verb conjugation. So we have the past, kumain, present, kumakain, future, kakain, plus a lot more. So I felt lazy trying to type all of them. There are 36. So we have 36 verb conjugations in Filipino alone. So be proud that the Philippines or the Filipino language is richer when it comes to verb conjugation. Now, to compensate for their lack of conjugation, by the way, conjugation means the change in the base form of the verb, meaning you change the spelling, you change the way it is pronounced. That is conjugation, okay? If you do not change the form, you just add another verb, then that is not conjugation, okay? So to compensate for that, English comes up with the two participles to change the aspect of a verb. The two aspects is the progressive, meaning it means the aspect of that is progressive. The action started and it's still in progress. That's what we mean by aspect, okay? And we also have the past or the perfect aspect, meaning the action has started and then by the time I'm talking, it's already finished, okay? So perfect. So those are the two aspects. And to be able to identify if it's progressive, then we use the present participle, the verb plus ing, okay? Like if the verb is eat, then I will say eating, then that's in the progressive aspect. And of course, to identify whether it's past, present, or future, I will now have to rely on the helping verb, which is the be verb, is, are, eating, I am eating, then it's the present progressive. If I use the past tense of the be verb, was, where, I was eating yesterday, then that's past progressive. And of course, if I use the modal verb will plus the present tense be and then the present participle, then that will be the future progressive, will be eating, okay? Now for the perfect, meaning the aspect is that the action started and finished or perfected, then I will use the past participle. When we say perfected, it's done already. Okay, like when you bake a cake, you mash the dough, right? And then you mix all the ingredients, and then you put it in the oven, bake it for 30 minutes. You take it out, you put all the icing and all the decoration, and when it's all done, you say perfect, right? So that's why we have the perfect aspect. The action has already finished. And to identify them, I use the past participle. So once you see in your verb that it's in the past participle, for example, eat, you see eaten, then it is in the perfect aspect, okay? And to identify if it's past, present, or future, I again use the helping verb has, have, and then apply the proper tenses. So had, eaten, that's past perfect. Have eaten, that's present perfect, and will have eaten, that's future perfect. Now we could combine the two aspects, the perfect, combine it with the progressive, and I will come up with the perfect progressive aspect. And that will be, to identify that, I will use the present participle with ing. So for example, eat, it will be eating. So then that's progressive. But if I have the be verb in the past participle, then that's been eating, then that means that it is progressive and perfect at the same time, okay? And to indicate the tenses, I will again use the helping verb has, have, and conjugate that into past tense had or future tense will have, okay? So past perfect progressive, it's had been eating, present is has been eating, and future is will have been eating. So I have summarized them in this table. So for the verb eat, simple past, present, future, that's ate, eat, eats for singular, then will eat for the future. And then perfect. So always there's the past participle eaten. So if past had eaten, have eaten, will have eaten, okay? Progressive, then of course I will use the present participle eating, okay? Was eating, present, I'm eating, and then future, will be eating, okay? And then if we combine perfect and then progressive, we combine them together, then we use the present participle eating, and then the past participle of be, which is been, and then the helping verb had, if it's in the past tense, had been eating, perfect progressive, past perfect progressive. If present, SVA rules, singular has, plural have, been eating, and then future, add the modal verb will to the base form have, will have been eating. And of course, the passive voice will have a corresponding transformation, okay? So for simple, like ate, you just say was eaten. Like active voice, I ate apples yesterday. Passive voice, apples was eaten yesterday. Okay, same with the perfect. Perfect tense, I could also transform it into the passive. We call that the passive perfect. Like apples have been, apples have eaten. I have eaten apples. Okay, I have eaten apples. In the passive voice, it will be apples have been eaten. Okay. Progressive, I can also put that into the passive. Like he will be eating apples. In the passive voice, it will be apples will be being eaten. See, it's now difficult to transform them into passive if you have the progressive. And this is especially true in the perfect progressive. It is now very hard to transform them into the passive form in fact, we no longer have the passive perfect progressive. There's no things like that. So if we will need to transform this perfect progressive in the active voice into the passive voice, we will just use the passive perfect instead. So this one is the same as this one. For example, I have been teaching you for 2 hours now. That's the active voice. So in the passive voice, I will remove the doer, which is me. I will just say, I will use the passive perfect. You have been taught for 2 hours. Okay, so I use the passive perfect when transforming the perfect progressive. Okay, that's what I told you about. This is a very confusing lecture, but I will try to, you know, analyze them one by one so they are easier to understand. So for simple tenses, past, present, and future, we use that for the statement of fact, routine, explanation, or definition of something, or when simply reporting an event. Okay. Here are the examples. I just want you to read all the examples. We will not discuss them one by one. So I can go to the details. So for a simple present tense, we use that when a statement is held to be generally true at the moment. At the moment of speaking, it is still happening, okay, or still true. Like for example, the earth revolves around the sun. So at the moment, this is true, okay? Or if it happened yesterday and happened today, and I will probably keep on repeating this as a routine next day and the following days, then I will also use simple present tense, like John and Mary brush their teeth every day. And of course, commentary about an ongoing event, also simple present tense, like the teacher starts the Zoom meeting and students are eager to start the lesson, okay? So I do not have a class picture, so I just get a picture from the internet. Hopefully tomorrow, I want you guys to appear on via Zoom. So appear your best tomorrow. Do not attend class just when you just woke up. So we will take a class picture like this one. So I will not be using the picture on the internet. And then we also use simple present tense when we are doing the storytelling. Even if the setting of the story is in the past, like here, Paris kills Achilles and is hailed a Trojan hero. I use a present tense here because usually writers would like to immerse you into the story, make you think that you are part of the event. So it's like making you travel back in time so that you will look like, instead of you observing the distant past, it will be like you are right there in the action. So they use the simple present tense. That's why stories are very interesting, because using our imagination, we think that we are a part of the series of events. And also we use simple present tense to refer to future events, like especially if I have a pre-arranged activity, like I bought some tickets. So you say, I fly to London on Friday next week. Again, English has no future tense, so we could use simple present tense to refer to the events of the future. Now, simple past tense, we use that to refer to statements that are true in the past, but it's no longer true today, okay? So for example, Cesar Montano loved sunshine. So this statement is true in the past, but the fact that it's in the past tense, it means that it's no longer true today. So imagine this guy is Cesar Montano. Sunshine is not this, you know, sun setting, okay? It's this girl, Sunshine Cruz, and he probably loved her before, but it's no longer true today. So I use the past tense, okay? So guys, if you have your girlfriends, do not say I loved you past tense, because if your girlfriends know how to understand the verb tenses, then you will receive a slap in the face. It means you loved me before, but no longer today. Okay, so be careful with your tenses. We also use the simple past tense if we are referring to an event that happened in the past, or a state of being that is true in the past but is no longer true today. Like Pinoy was the Philippine president. You do not say Pinoy is the Philippine president because it's no longer true. Today, it's Rodrigo Duterte who is the Philippine president. And also past event, he appointed Jesse Robredo. That's past event, so you use past tense. And also on the second conditional, this is for the subjunctive mood. If there's an if statement, we might be talking on the present things, but those present things are not real because it's just hypothetical. You know, the what if statement. What if I did this? What if I courted this crush nambayan? Probably I have a girlfriend by now. So those are present state of being, but they are not true. They are just hypothetical. So if that is the case, you use the past tense, okay? Like if he knew many will enroll, he would open more virtual classes. Past tense, knew, and then would, all past tense, but the state of being is in the present. We call that the present unreal. See? Present unreal, okay? You would like that to be true, but you want to be sure. So that's a guarded optimism. You're estimating that this will be true, but you know, you did not take it because you want a future condition to become true first. Okay? In Tagalog, pasiguro. Okay? So if manliligaw and pasiguro, then you will always be in this mood, the second conditional. If I knew she will love me, she would be my girlfriend. But just hypothetical because you're pasiguro. And we also use simple past if we want to be polite, especially when we're using the modal verb. Can I help you? But if you want to be more polite, you make it the past tense. Could I help you? And the only higher degree in terms of politeness is the use of modal verb may. So can I help you? That's not very polite. Could I help you? More polite. And then the most polite is may I help you? Okay. And then again, the hypothetical, I could help you if you allow me. Okay, again, pasiguro. Okay. You can help, but you're not doing it because you want to make sure that there's permission first. Okay. So again, you want to have a girlfriend, wag pasiguro. Okay. Learn to take your chances. Otherwise, you will be taunted by your friends, wala kang jowa. See? So try to take your chances. So to understand that better, let's take a time reference. And the best time reference is right now, okay? I mean, as of this moment. So if you talk of things of this moment as a reference, then we could always think of things that are the moments before now. So that will be the past, okay? Although some of you would not like to discuss that because past is past, never discuss. But that's the natural state of things. If you have a now, if you have a present, you have your past, okay? This is not about your love life, okay? Because sometimes some of you does not have a past, does not have ex, okay? Now, if we have a past, we also have future, okay? except when your boyfriend is an addict, walang future. But if we're talking about events, there will be future events, okay? And what are the tenses to use? So if the truth is it's been true since time immemorial, it's true today and will be true for the future, for the next billion of years or time eternal, then we use present tense. The earth revolves around the sun, okay? Same with just saying plain, I love you. It has a very, it has the highest degree of meaning. It means from time immemorial to in the past to time eternal to the future. That's how strong the message, the present tense is. And of course, if it's a routine, you did this in the past, but you are also doing this today and will probably repeat tomorrow and for a number of years until you die, then you use present tense. I brush my teeth every day. And if I'm reporting things that happened today in the immediate past, but not yesterday, all the things that happened today, then I will use present tense. Anna and Joe eat their breakfast. And also, if I'm explaining something which is a general truth, we call this the zero conditional, then I will also use present tense. If he gets COVID at 91 years old, he dies. Like what happened to Mayor Lim, okay? He is 90 years old and very healthy, as what was told by his surviving children, but yet he died due to COVID because he's already 90 years old. And of course, if there's a present, there's a past, like if the action is yesterday, so you say she ate burgers yesterday, simple past. And we have a future, simple future, we shall take set in October. So imagine it's October, you will have a future action to do. So we use the simple future. So simple tenses are easy to understand. We now go to, I'm sorry, how do we use them? The past tense, simple past tense, and simple present tense and simple future. So for example, if the time frame of your statement is in the past, then always use past tense. Like you cannot say when General Antonio Luna attended, good, that's past tense, attended, a cabinet meeting in Cabanatuan, he is assassinated. This is wrong. The error here is the use of is because the time frame is 1906. That's the year and General Antonio Luna was assassinated. So the correct verb here is simple past tense. He was assassinated. But following this rule is not true all the time. There are cases like when your time frame is in the past, but your second verb is still true until now, like she became, again, past tense, my girlfriend 2 years ago, and I loved her. If you say this to your girlfriend, then your girlfriend will be very, very angry. Because that means that you have loved her before, but no longer now because it's in the past, okay? So in cases like this is the exception. You may use the present tense even if you started with your past tense. She became my girlfriend. Past tense because it's 2 years ago. And I love her, present tense, because you want to say that the I love her clause is still true until now. So that's the time that you could make exceptions. So that ends our simple tenses. We will now go to the perfect tenses. Remember, perfect tenses is, the aspect is the action started and then it ended, okay? It could be in relation to a particular time in the past if it's a past perfect, okay? Or it could be in relation to another event. The first event started and ended, therefore, perfect aspect. And then the second event starts. And these are the examples, which I hope you will just review when you see the video, because it's almost time. So we will rush this. So we use a present perfect tense for for things that was true in the past and still relevant to the present. Meaning, yes, it was perfected in the past, but until the present, it's still relevant, then we use the present perfect tense. Yes, perfected in the past, but use present tense because it's still true today. Example, since 1937, Filipino became our national language. This is not correct. If this appear in your CET exam, then the error is the simple past became, okay? It should be has become. Perfect tense and then present tense for the helping verb. Since 1937, Filipino has become our national language because today it's still our national language. So present perfect. Okay. If you want to use the simple past became, then change the word since, because since will show relevance until now. If you want to focus on the event that happened, like the inauguration in 1937, then change since into the word in. In 1937, Filipino became our national language. So you can use the simple past there. Now we also use the present perfect tense if you see the word just. That means that it's done, but it's in the immediate past. It's not yesterday, it's probably today. That's why you have the word just. So do not use simple past after the word just, like the teacher just taught simple tenses. That is wrong. Since this is in the immediate past, you should use the present perfect. So the correct verb tense for that is has just taught. The teacher has just taught simple tenses. Now, if there are two actions happening in the past, and you want to indicate that the first action started and ended before the second action started in the past, then on the first action, you must use the perfect aspect because you need to indicate that it started and finished, okay? Like last week, the video uploaded after you attended the online review, the information here is incorrect because I want to tell you guys that the online review started and finished in the past before this video, which is taking a long time to upload, finished uploading, okay? So the correct verb here is the past perfect, had attended. That means that last week, probably I'm trying to load, but you know, as when the online class happens, before we have a very strong internet, suddenly our globe came crashing down because of so many trying to access the internet. Then uploading is very slow. So last week, I'm trying to upload a movie, but it finished when teaching you guys have already finished. So I should use the past had, and then perfect aspect attended, had attended, okay? You also use past perfect. This is for the third conditional, subjunctive mood. If you're having some confusion regarding this, we will not discuss this anymore. I hope you do some Google on the conditionals. So again, they do not follow the rules of tenses of the indicative mood. Okay, so we can be talking about the present, but if I want to, you know, establish regret, then I will use the past perfect in the if statement and say, if COVID had been known last year, I would have bought more laptops. So here this is had been known is the passive. Remember the passive perfect? Because I do not indicate here who is the doer of it being known, okay? I'm just interested on the object COVID, which is also the subject. So I use the passive perfect. Had been known last year, I would have bought more laptops. So this is a hypothetical condition. We're talking in the present, but it's with regards to the past that is unreal. Last year, COVID is not known yet, so past is unreal. And I use this kind of verb tenses in my if statement if I want to establish a message of regret, okay? Because if I had known that, then I wouldn't be rushing to find and buy a laptop. It's very hard, especially at SM. It's very hard to buy a new laptop. And then we also use the future perfect tense if an action in the future will start and finish. Remember, perfect aspect, start and finish, before another future action starts. Like, say, for example, before the next school year begins, you will have taken set. So we have two actions here. The beginning of the school year in college, you will be freshmen. And then before that start in the future, there must first be an action that will start and finish, and that will be you taking set and passing. So if I will refer to the future, then before the next school year begins, you will have taken set, meaning the action will have taken set is already finished by the time you enter college. All right. So to understand, let's again consult our timeline. So we will start with our reference now. Okay. So if I have started doing something and I had finished it, like earlier I taught you adverbs, so I started teaching you, but I have already finished it by now. So started and ended, so I will use the perfect tense. I have taught adverbs, okay? It's already done, perfect. So of course, if I have another thing that happened today, like Joe says he can't see the slides, but this second action happened after the first action, then if I will combine them into one sentence, I will have to use the perfect tense on the first event to indicate to you guys that the event started and finished before the second event starts. So I will say, I have taught adverbs when Joe says he can't see the slides. So here, the message is two events happens one after the other, okay? There's no overlapping of the occurrence. Of course, if I can do that in the present, I could also do that somewhere in time yesterday. Like yesterday at 5 p.m., okay, this will be the time reference, 5 p.m. She had eaten burgers. All right, yesterday she had eaten burgers at 5 p.m. So we can imagine that this girl, let's say Joy Marie. So let's say Joy Marie yesterday started eating burgers, but by 5 p.m. she had finished all the burgers. Okay, so the action of eating is perfected. Okay, and then if I have another action like Denver asked for a pen, so it will be in the past tense also because it also happens yesterday. But if I will have to put these two actions in one sentence, and I want to indicate that the first action started and finished, and then after that, it does not have to be like immediately after it finished, then Denver will ask for a pen. There could be a some time that will pass, like 5 p.m. The burger had been eaten, but 5:30, that's the time Denver asked for a pen. But in any ways, If I want to indicate that the first action started and finished, and then the second action begins, then I will use the past perfect. In the first action, yesterday she had eaten burgers. And on the second action, I will just use simple past because that's just simple reporting of events. When Denver asked for a pen, okay? That's taking the perfect tense into the past. That's why we have the past perfect tense. Same as we have the present in the middle, we have the present perfect tense. And we also have the perfect tense in the future. There you go, like say future events, you taking set on October 26th. So probably at 5 p.m. the exam is done, right? You will be submitting your papers because you cannot take the CET exam overnight. Okay, so you probably start at 7 a.m. when you gather at your in the classroom, and then you take your set the entire day, and then at 5 p.m. it's done, it's finished. So I will use the future perfect. The students will have taken set on October 26th at 5 p.m. So that will be my time reference, 5 p.m. October 26th in the future. Or I could remove the time reference and I could have another event in the future that will be my reference, and this will be Sir Nathan will bid us goodbye. So that means after the test, I'm done with my responsibility to you, so I will say goodbye. So if I want to put them in just one sentence, I will have to use the future perfect tense for the first event to indicate that it started and finished before the second future event will happen. So I will say, the students will have taken set on October 26th when Sir Nathan bid us goodbye. And here on the second event, I no longer use will because it will be a double modal in a single statement, which we would like to avoid. And as we have mentioned, when I say Sir Nathan bid us goodbye, even if it's in the present tense, since the English language does not have a future tense, it could also represent future events, the simple present tense. Okay, so that ends our discussion on the perfect tense. We will now go to progressive tenses. So we will go into overtime because we will have to finish this. So progressive tenses, as opposed to perfect tense, the aspect here is the action started, and by the time I take the observation, the action is still in progress. So there's no ending yet. Compared to the perfect, it started and it ended. But in progressive, it started, and when I take the observation, it's still ongoing or in progress. That's why it's progressive, okay? And examples of those are Bob was eating an apple at a specific time reference, okay? Or my time reference could be another event, like I am eating. So the reference here is right now. And then there's another event when Sylvia arrives. So I was interrupted in my first event, eating, and a second event happens, okay? Let's discuss them one by one. You could also use the progressive verb if you want to indicate a temporary or a fanciful state, meaning you are doing this right now, but it will not be for long. Like I'm being a studious reviewee and wait until set is over. It means that you will not be a studious reviewee for a very long time. After set, who knows, party or college life, making new friends and no longer studying, okay? But right now we are so focused on studying. So if we will put that in our timeline for the progressive, we will again start with the time reference now. So if I'm doing something and right now I do the observation and I'm still doing it, then I should use progressive tense. Like I am teaching verb tenses. So you see, I have started teaching you verb tenses an hour ago after the bathroom break, and right now I'm still doing it. It's still in progress. So I use the progressive, present progressive tense, I am teaching, okay? And if there's another event that happens, like Joe says he can't see the slides, like the problem that we had before, I keep on teaching and then you're not seeing the slides, then Joe will interrupt me, and it happens in the middle of me doing the first action in progress, then I will have to use the progressive tense if I combine them into just one sentence. For the first event, I will use the progressive tense, present. I am teaching verb tenses when Joe says he can't see the slides, meaning I'm still in progress with the first event when the second event interrupt or started in the middle of the progress of the first, okay? Of course, on the second action, I just use simple present tense. I don't need to indicate the aspect. And if I can do that in the present tense, of course, I can also do that in the past tense. Like if yesterday, let's say Fritz is eating burger, but by 5 p.m., she's still not finished doing it. Like she's just halfway through her burgers, then I will use the past progressive tense because it's in the past, yesterday. So I will say yesterday, she was eating burgers at 5 p.m. So that will be my time reference. And the time reference could also be another event, like Denver asked for a pen. So while Fritz is eating with her mouth full of burger, a classmate comes to her and borrow a pen, and Fritz cannot speak because her mouth is full of burgers, okay? So if I want to put them into just one sentence, I could remove the 5 p.m. time reference and use the second past event as the new reference and use in the first event the progressive tense to give you the aspect of the event started and still in progress. So yesterday, she was eating burgers, and then the event that interrupt when Denver asked for a pen. So that's in the past. Of course, we could also do this in the future. Like 8 a.m., October 26, 8 a.m. So you started the examination process at 7 a.m. You gather at your room. So at 8 a.m., the examination is in progress. So you could say, you could use the future progressive. The students will be taking set on October 26 at 8 a.m. Meaning at this time, you have started and you're still ongoing, doing the action of taking the test. And the reference could be another future event, like Sir Nathan will bid us good luck. So I could message you guys good luck on your exam, and the message will appear while you are already progressing on the first event. So if I will put them in one sentence, then it will read, the students will be taking set on October 26 when Sir Nathan bid us good luck. So that means since I use a future progressive tense on the first event and simple present tense on the second event, then it means that the first future event is interrupted, meaning it is in progress when the second future event started, okay? So that ends the progressive tense. So we're almost done. We're now on the most difficult but very easy concept, the combining of the perfect aspect and the progressive aspect, and then adding the tenses, past, present, future. What will happen? Well, do not be intimidated because this is a very easy concept to understand, okay? So for the past, perfect and progressive combination, you could say, Alice had been learning French before she went to Quebec. So you have the learning, which is progressive, and you have the been, past participle, which is perfect. And you have the had, which is past. So all the two aspects, progressive, perfect, and the tense are represented using the main verb and two helping verbs. So in the present, I will use the present tense of had, which is has, since Alice is singular. Alice has been learning Canadian French since she migrated to Canada last year. Then if it's in the future, then I will use the future tense will have. Alice will have been learning French for 3 years by the time she finally goes to France. And what do these means? Why don't I just say Alice learned French before going to Quebec? Alice uh, is Alice is learning French in Canada, and Alice will go to France. See, what's the difference by just using simple aspects and simple tenses? Well, the difference is when you are using the two aspects, progressive and perfect, at the same time. We only use that if in our message we want to indicate a time duration. Okay, do not have a nosebleed trying to analyze what progressive and perfect combined will do to a sentence. Okay, what it simply do is to state a time duration, and the time duration could be in the past, in the present, or in the future. Let's start with the past. Like, let's say Alice is from the Philippines, so she's planning to go to Canada. So to prepare, she studied for 1 year here in the Philippines learning French because Quebec is a French Canadian territory. Okay, so I would say Alice had been learning French before she went to Quebec. If I use this perfect progressive tense in the past tense, perfect progressive aspect in the past tense, then I am referring to the time duration. You could say 1 year studying French, okay? Because if I'm just concerned about the event, then I will just say Alice learned French in the Philippines before going to Quebec, okay? But I want to specify the duration of time, so I will use the past perfect progressive tense. And it will be the same on the present perfect progressive. If I want to specify a length of time, like this statement, Alice has been learning Canadian French since she migrated to Canada last year, then I'm emphasizing here a duration of from arriving in Canada to now. She arrived 2019 until now. So that will be 1 year because of this since last year. So in effect, my message here is that the duration of time Alice has been learning French Canadian in Quebec is 1 year. So again, perfect progressive is used to indicate a time duration in the present tense. And we could also do that in the future tense. Okay, our last concept to analyze. So if, let's say in the future, 2021, Alice will now have enough money to migrate to France, where her mother is probably working as a nurse, then I could again use a future perfect progressive tense to indicate another time duration, which is a total of all these. So that will be another year from now to 2021. So I will have a future perfect progressive verb here in the sentence. Alice will have been learning French for 3 years by the time she finally goes to France. So I only use, let's count, 1 modal verb, 2 helping verbs, and the main verb will have been learning. I go through all those hardships of using 4 verbs just to tell you guys that Alice will be spending a total of 3 years learning France, starting from the Philippines to 1 year to Quebec, 2 years, then to France. That will be a total of 3 years. So guys, you only use perfect progressive if you see words in the sentence like since. So you can use perfect progressive, or for 3 years now. So you have the 4. For 3 years now, you have this 4 clause for 3 years. So you use perfect progressive. Otherwise, do not use perfect progressive because it will, it will just confuse your listener, okay? Some of you guys will or would want to impress their girls, they think speaking in very long English sentences with a lot of words will make you appear more intelligent. So instead of just saying I love you, you will say, well, I will have been loving you, Sarah. You see, I will have been loving you, Sarah. If Sarah knows her English, she might ask you, really, for how long? Okay, because that will be relating to time duration. You're using the future perfect tense, future perfect progressive tense. So instead, just stick with the simplest, I love you, because as we have um, discussed, using present, simple present tense will indicate reality, will indicate fact, and it has the most intense degree because it could mean it's true since time immemorial in the past up to the time eternal into the future, like the earth revolves around the sun. So if you really want to convey the love that's undying, then just use the simple tense. I love you, period. Okay? So that ends our discussion. I would again, we have a 15-minute overtime. Sorry about that. I will end this very long and boring discussion with a nice quote again. The quote that I will leave, again, this is my contact information. So just review that, the channel in YouTube. So the quote I will leave you guys before you sleep is from John Lloyd. Baka kaya tayo iniiwan ng mga taong mahal natin kasi lagi natin kinokorek yung grammar nila. Okay? I just got it from Facebook, and it's very fun to read. Okay, I'm just kidding. This is not really the quote I want to leave you guys. The quote that's in my module is that the sum of human wisdom is not contained in any language. Okay, so do not say language is the language of the academe or the language of knowledge. In fact, Filipino is also a rich language. So the human wisdom, if you really want to learn more, try to learn other cultures and other languages because it will expand what you know. Okay, so it's already 8:17. I'm sorry guys for taking 17 more minutes of your time. I will see you again tomorrow. I hope we finish all the modules that we need to take, and then this week I will give you the long diagnostic test for English, and then on Saturday we will discuss the questions of the diagnostic test. Okay, so this will now end the discussion. Okay, thank you for your time. Bye. Okay, thank you po, sir. Okay, you're welcome. Nagdugo tenga ko. Okay, I'm just reading the chat. Yeah, that's normal. Okay, it's really very hard to understand English, especially these concepts. So I want you to review. I will upload a video of this on YouTube, and I hope you will, if you're confused right now, take the time to review the video and also the PowerPoint presentation. All right, I will now stop this meeting.